You're up, Bren.
Good afternoon, and welcome to everyone watching online. I hope you're having a great virtual Czech conference. My name is Brian Osborne, and I'm the Director of Web and Digital Strategies at Emporia State. Our session this afternoon is titled, If You Build It, the Behemoth Challenge of Building the ESU website from the ground up. If you caught our session this morning, you got a glimpse of what we do at ESU. Now we're going to focus on one multi-year project to completely rebuild our web presence. Now, this isn't a typical session. We're not going to show you any PowerPoints. This is very much a conversation, and we invite you to be a part of it. You can submit your questions to us from our sessions page on the Czech website or from the link there in the YouTube chat. We put together a video to start us off, and we'd like to show you that now. It started with a simple directive. It's time to start over. Our website was literally 20 years of layers upon layers of outdated content.
Our old website was a mess. Things were not easy to find at all. Duplicated content that was literally years old lived all over the website. There were no controls on any content or design elements. It was a free-for-all, and it was not a good image for the university as there was no consistency on the website.
The site didn't have a purpose. It wanted to serve every possible audience, and it didn't do any of it well.
The backend was a literal Frankenstein of parts of a CMS, bolted on old technologies, pages outside of the CMS, and an accessibility nightmare.
There's been little to no collaboration among web editors in years. If you had access to your part of the website, you did pretty much whatever you wanted to do with it. There was no concept of a team at all.
In the fall of 2018, that all changed. Together, marketing and IT set out to reimagine our entire website. It was an exciting and overwhelming challenge. And oh, by the way, we weren't just building one site, we now had to build two. When we started out, the management and maintenance of the public website was wholly housed in marketing and media relations. We in IT had no part in it other than the web server was running and hosted in our data center. But in the early part of 2018, a perfect storm of events gave us, as an institution, the opportunity to reinvent our digital strategy.
We had a new chief marketing officer who was open to change and had no desire to run a shadow IT department.
There was support from both administration and key stakeholders across campus to take the website in a new direction.
At the time, I was the Director of Systems and Client Solutions, which meant I oversaw our desktop support team, our server team, and our digital media team. And then one day, the CIO came to me with an offer to take on a new challenge.
Web and Digital Strategies is a team housed in IT. We manage the website, the portal, mass communication services, digital signage, all of IT's marketing and promotion, virtual events, and other things that fall into our purview.
I think Brian, Corey, and Kelly all realized that just forming a new team in IT wasn't going to solve the problem with the university's web presence. And that's why we expanded to form a cross-departmental team.
Today, the ESU web team includes Brian's team in IT, Randy from marketing, the assistant provost for institutional effectiveness, the director of marketing for the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, and myself, the Teachers College digital publicity director.
Once we had the team in place, we then had to decide on the approach, the goals of the new website, and how we were going to get input from as many people across campus as would talk to us.
And there was the problem of the two websites.
As the project to replace the public website was underway, we were also desperately needing to replace our Luminous portal. And like the website, there was no desire to just buy something off the shelf, and we simply didn't have the staff to develop anything from the ground up.
With both sites, we needed to take a step back and ask what the purpose of each one was. Did they meet the needs of today's users?
For the public website, we engaged an advertising agency that had the capacity to not only help us from a marketing and communications perspective, but could also help us with the technical aspects.
And for the portal, we came up with a list of requirements and essentially found that our users didn't want a portal at all, at least not what we thought of as a portal.
And then we had more meetings.
Lots of meetings.
We met with every single department on campus individually to determine their web needs. Then, after the website was built, we met with them all over again to go over their new pages. It was quite the undertaking.
I think one of the reasons that I was asked to lead these initiatives is that I have experience in creating value engineered solutions on a shoestring budget. We'd love to have the Cadillac solution to solve all our problems, but that's not in the cards here. We need to be both strategic and innovative. And we succeeded here twofold.
In the end, our new public website launched in October of 2019. It's based on the Wagtail framework and is presently housed in ESU's data center as part of the Docker environment.
Our portal, which we branded Hornet 365, is built on top of Google Sites. It not only includes links to everything a student, faculty member, and employee would need, but also has a robust collection of internally focused websites, including faculty web pages, supplements to our public website, and our digital media platform, Hornet.digital.
ESU has implemented a program called WebDAC, or the Web Data Access Coordinator. These are contacts from each department across campus who submit change requests for their part of the website. Then only a member of the web team makes the changes to the website, but the web DACs are responsible for coordinating the necessary content updates from their respective areas. Our turnaround time for making changes is 1 to 2 days, but 90% of the requests are done just within a few hours.
The feedback from our user base has been overwhelmingly positive, but we have more work to do. The job isn't over. We didn't form this team to build the website and then go our separate ways. We're a permanent fixture as we adopt new technologies and expand ESU's digital presence.
But were there challenges?
Challenges? Certainly. Keeping the trains running on time, managing expectations, being the liaison between us, the ad agency, the departments, the web DACs, and having to expand our own bubble to learn how registration works, admissions, financial aid, and we have to escape the stigma of being just IT. Now, we're not just the people who provide the Ethernet cables and make sure your email works. It's a steep hill to climb, and we're still doing it.
The top challenge that I have faced is when you come across old content that has been around for many years, but it just doesn't cut it anymore. How do you transition from familiar, old content to fresh, new content while making our audience happy?
There were a lot of challenges with this project. One was the sheer volume of copy and the number of stakeholders. We literally gutted every single page on the old website and rewrote all of that copy before we moved it to the new site. Coordinating all that with every department on campus was quite the challenge, but the end product was worth every single second.
For most programs in my area for the Teachers College, their accrediting bodies, from art therapy to teacher education to athletic training, all require particular information to be on our related programs website. Making sure those mandates were met while folding in the new standards of the new website was and continues to be a challenge.
Whether it's tech or marketing or communications, I think I can speak for the team when I say we're here to take on these challenges. I'm proud of the team and I'm proud of the work we've done. And we've got a lot more to do. And I know we have the right team in place to do it. Okay, thank you to everyone who worked on and helped put that video together. We hope you enjoyed it. Now we're going to open up this session to the conversation format. I've got a few topics that we'll explore with the team, and we'll answer any questions that you have for us using the form linked there in the chat. We have most of the original ESU web team here with us this afternoon. You met us in the video, but why don't we start with reminding everyone who you are and what you do at ESU. Sam, we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Dirksen, and I'm a web developer at Emporia State University.
Brandy?
Hi, I'm Brandy Nance, and I'm in the marketing department. I do web content and marketing content for the university.
And Terry?
Hi, I'm with the Teachers College. I handle pretty much all digital publicity, so social media and web design.
And Sandy.
Hi, I'm Santiago Chashidar, and I'm the Web and Media Specialist for Emporia State University.
And the newest member to our team. So we'll start with the discussion topics. let's talk a little bit about the CMS itself. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about it, some of the pros and cons, and a little bit about the architecture?
Yep. So we switched to Wagtail, which is a Django-based content management system. And some of the pros that I really liked about it was how dynamic it was. So if you link to pages within Wagtail, and even if you change the URL after the fact, it will still keep that connectivity because it's so dynamic. Another pro of it is just how the Python in the backend. So if you can build an application or anything in Python, you can basically add that to Wagtail. And a con of that is that you have to build that application or content with Python. You don't all have the time to do that. And Wagtail is just a fairly new content management system, so it's not as developed as more mature content management systems, so it doesn't support all the features that others would. And so the architecture, it lives in Docker. Basically, we push and pull updates to it to and from our test environment and production environment whenever we test to see if there's any bugs with more recent updates, things like that.
And one thing I'll add about the way we handle the server side and the Docker environment that Sam mentioned is we're within IT, but we're very much a customer of the team that manages that environment. So they are the service provider to us. We're just a customer. And it's all worked out very well. So Brandy, what was the transition like moving from 8,000 plus pages in our old environment to less than 3,500 in the new one?
It was complicated. We had a very large spreadsheet that told us what needed to be on the new website. So we had to sift through all of that content, rewrite most of it, gut most of it, put it back together, work with all of the departments. So I would say it was extremely hectic, but it was a good process overall. The web team did a great job coordinating. So it was a lot of work.
Yes. So Terry, the same question to you, but you're unique in that you had the whole teachers college to deal with. How did that go for you? What issues did you encounter, and how did you communicate that to everybody that was involved?
I think I was lucky in the capacity that first I've done web at ESU for, on and off for 20 years. So I've seen it evolve, and I was always frustrated by the limited amount of human resources we had. So now having a team, oh my God, thank you, was huge. But also a few years ago, I worked just for this tiny research branch of the Teachers College, and I have these web skills, and I was looking around the rest of the college, and I was like, well, all these sites are inconsistent. So I proposed to the dean 5 years ago or so, hey, how about I just take that over? And he said yes. So the faculty and the departments within Teachers College have been going through this process the last 5 years of getting used to sending all their changes through me, which is exactly the system now we have for the rest of ESU. So I had a little bit of a leg up on that, but still there were people that like to have the control of their part of the website. So us moving to a different management style has still been a challenge. But yeah, there's been pros and cons, and but I think overall now having a team where we can discuss these issues has really been beneficial. So.
Sam, can you talk about some of the tools and services that we use to monitor and manage the website?
Yeah, so we actually use a combination of Google Analytics and SiteImprove to kind of monitor our website. Google Analytics gives us, the basic analytical data that we need, from geographical location to how many users, to how long they were on our page. And we can utilize that data in Google dashboard reports. And SiteImprove gives us a little bit more in-depth reports. We can use that for behavior maps and other kinds of things. We can scan our entire website, the spellings. So with the combination of those two, we actually have a pretty good monitoring system of our website.
So as you saw in the video, it talked a little bit about how we formed this new web team, and my team in IT was new as well. But that was really all that we did as far as adding resources. We just combined people we already had. So particularly for Terry and Brandy, how have your roles changed to support this new web initiative and future web initiatives, but still sort of doing what you did before?
I'll go. So I went from strictly marketing typewriting, so for like radio ads, view book copy, things like that, marketing materials, and the website. So while we were heavy into building the website, a lot of the marketing load was absorbed by the marketing team, and that sense has sort of come back to me. So just prioritize your time and tackle what's most critical, and then lead on the web team. That's what's so great about having a web team is if I can't get to some request, I'll forward it on and see if someone else can jump in and help me. So the team is amazing, the team part.
That's what's really nice because, like I said, the Teachers College has been coming to me for a while now. But now that I can say, no, this particular problem that a faculty member or staff member has identified, I can say, yeah, we're seeing that across the board and we're working on it. So now it doesn't just sound like, yes, I know and I'm trying. And, I can say, no, we can see that there's a systemic problem with this and we're working on it. So.
Terry hit on this a little bit, but does somebody want to take the question of our WebDAC process, how that came to be, and how that's working out?
Yeah, I can jump in on that. So we transitioned from an old content management system where in the video Terry said there were a lot of people who had access to the website and they had access to various parts, and really there was no control. They could really do whatever they wanted to it. So we wanted to have more of a lockdown, more consistency with this new website. So we formed this WebDAC group. And the WebDAC group is really a person or two from each department that we really rely on to handle their content for the website. Now, they're not able to make changes directly, but they're able to work with us one-on-one and submit forms. And we have a tracking process where we can assign users in the web team tasks. And whenever we're done with them, that'll notify the WebDAC. And we try to have as much meetings with WebDACs as we can regularly, just to make sure that the content is fresh and everything's going well. So I think it's been really successful so far. Does anybody else have anything to add on that?
The thing I like about it is that we're keeping track of how fast we make those changes, so we have data to back it up when, at any institution, there's always the complaint that there's a lag between the requested change and the actual change. And we can say, haha, no, we have the data showing that, no, we make the changes pretty fast. Thanks.
And in most instances between all of us, unless it's a major overhaul, those changes are made within hours. So I think it's really improved the turnaround time when you have a whole team.
Yes. So we have a question, which was the next thing we were going to talk about. So this was from Sila from Pittsburgh State University. And what tools have we used to test for accessibility?
So like I said before, SiteImprove, this is a tool that we actually pay for that tests our accessibility and things. But we've also been using another tool called Wave. Wave has a website where you enter your URL and it'll scan your website and really give you a really nice, easy, simple to read report of what's going wrong with your website. And we've used that and it's been quite successful for us. I mean, we're happy to say that our accessibility scores have never been so high after a couple months of troubleshooting and finding these errors and fixing them. So we're really happy with those. So Wave and SiteImprove.
Okay. We have another question from the web. This is from Emmeline Hoyt from Butler Community College. And the question, they are going through the same process that we did, redoing their website and implementing a replacement for Luminous. And they're asking, what did you find was successful when bridging the gap between IT and marketing and other departments on campus? And then why did we go with Wagtail?
The decision to go to Wagtail was actually before my time. Brian, do you kind of want to hop in on that?
Yeah, we looked at different options, and as you saw in the video, we worked with an ad agency. Getting into this, we knew we weren't going to do a whole lot of development. We wanted to work on the content and the layout and the management of the project, um, and rely more on the technical and development side from the ad agency. So they gave us a couple of options based on the criteria that we came up with what we wanted to see in the website. And ultimately, Wagtail was the one that could meet all of that criteria.
And as to the other part of the question, I think just communicating with all of campus frequently, marketing and media relations would work with IT and develop messaging for our monitors on campus, as well as through our daily email, and just to keep people abreast. And even then they would say, oh, I didn't get anything, but we could say, yeah, but well, maybe you need to go back and see that, we sent this message out at this time. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we covered it quite a bit in our first session this morning, but our team very much works alongside marketing. I meet regularly with Kelly, the chief marketing officer, and I of course report to Corey, the chief information officer. So being rooted in both of those worlds, and then having the team you see in front of us with all the representation, I think has been super helpful in trying to roll out a project like this that covers so many different areas.
And the key there has been regular meetings as well. Our team meets on a weekly basis more if we need to talk about issues that come up or issues that need solved. So that's another key. Make sure you meet.
And another thing is bridging the gaps between everyone. So I'm sure that you web developers out there have gotten emails from various people just saying, hey, can you update this little piece of content right here? Well, the WebDAX system that we were just talking about, it really brings everybody in together. So there is no one-off emails and everyone's in the loop. Everyone knows when somebody submits a request. There's no more individual emailing. We send them back to the WebDAX form and say, hey, everybody needs to be aware of this and we need to track its progress. So I think that that's been really helpful as well, just keeping everyone on the same page.
Especially when we have things like a curriculum change in one area might not seem to affect another area, but if we're all seeing the same changes, it's like, oh, wait, no, okay, graduate school changed a policy. I need to make sure that's linked to through my stuff. So just seeing that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the purposes of the public website in contrast with Hornet 365. And we talked about in the video, Hornet 365 is the portal. We built that, alongside really the website. Can you guys talk a little bit about the audiences and some of the thought that went into implementing both of those and how we targeted the content?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So the Emporia.edu website is mainly meant for external people. We're trying to, get students. So we want it to be lightweight on content, if that makes sense. Because our old content management system had 8,000 pages. And with that, it's hard to find things. The search isn't as functional. So we really wanted to kind of break it apart between internal and external content. And we still link to the internal content from Emporia.edu if it's pertainable to that site. But really it's made for recruiting students and retaining students.
And I think we talked a little bit in the video about the portal and the decision to do that. Certainly, as our questioner here mentioned, they were on Luminous, we were on Luminous. There were no more supported versions of that, so that really made us decide what we needed to do as far as a portal going forward, and in turn made us look at what the portal was doing, what our students really wanted, and I think the innovative solution that we came up with has been very well received across all our populations. So I have another question, and this is from Molly at Bethany College. She's very impressed with our navigation. Can we talk a little bit about how we approach that?
The navigational structure was a combined effort of all of us, really, plus our ad agency. They have a navigation person over there that really worked on that for us and broke it down in a way that makes sense to different audiences. So way back when we started this, we had students, parents. You got to think of all these external audiences, community members. So the navigation was really based on that user path and what they are looking for and where they want to get there, and in the least clicks as possible.
Terry, anything you want to add from your area? And
No, I was impressed. I joined this kind of the web team kind of after the infrastructure had been decided on, but my background's in library science, so I was very pleased to see what the ad company had come up with in terms of the information architecture. So we knew exactly, and I had a cheat sheet spreadsheet off of their spreadsheet that was like, okay, this is my existing structure, and what's my one-to-one match, or well, that program's been gone for 5 years, but it's still on the website, so it was nice to be able to do that, and that tool was already available to me when I started redesigning the website.
okay, Sandy, a question for you. When we talked about Hornet 365 as our portal, can you sort of share the vision behind that and how we went about selling that to everybody?
So before Hornet 365 existed, we had to us, it was called Buzzin. I'm guessing that's the Luminous packaging that we had. And just having worked as a student and now a full-time employee, I would always sit and watch how people would navigate through websites. And it was a very interesting thing for me. And they would go through the main website, hit logins, and that sort of behavior. But now with Hornet 365, we've completely redesigned it. We've made it visually appealing. We've branded it really well, so nobody ever has the need to go to the public website, to the external website. We've created that separation of external audiences and internal audiences. If you're a current student at our university and you need something, to go to hornet365.com. And I think in terms of branding, that's something that we've done really well.
So we talked about challenges, and I think one of the biggest ones for me, and you guys will probably agree, was building out a robust faculty and staff directory. There are many parts to it, and it seemed that everybody had their vision of what it should be, what it should look like, and what it should contain. So does somebody want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we had with that and what we ended up with?
I think just really fast, the number one problem, right, that we're still working through is the bridge between the photo library of the directory photos and the website. So there's people who've updated their photo for the first time in 10 years and they want it the next day on the website. It's like, well, it does take a little bit of a loading procedure, but that's just the image of it. There's been other issues with how much information to give about the person. So.
Right. So to expound a little bit on that, our old website had some information like the room number and email address and phone number. And we started out very minimal amount of information shown in the directory. And we got constant requests for, we want more, we want more, we want more. And so what we ended up doing is working with our HR department since they're technically the owners of that content, to come up with sort of a middle ground of the appropriate information to show on there. One of the things we currently hear now is that they don't like the title that's shown. The title that's shown there now comes from our ERP. So we've worked with HR to come up with a way that they can change that if they get the appropriate approvals to show the title or whatnot that they prefer. The updating challenge that continues to be an issue. Any others that you guys want to share in relation to the faculty staff directory? That covered most of it, but that was we're literally still working out the details, almost a year on now, but we will get there. It's greatly improved over from what it was on launch day. Let's talk a little bit about our web presence beyond just the website and what we've done with Hornet 365. We've started using things like Wix and Blogger and WordPress to expand. Sam, you want to take that one and talk a little bit about why we're doing that and some of the things we're doing with it?
Yeah. So we've actually been using some Google Sites as well for some of our portal content. And this is mainly because it's easily accessible. It's very easy to create content. The design is clean. It's easily integratable with Google Analytics. But we've noticed that there are some one-off sites, like this Czech conference, for example, that need to have a cleaner design, a much more sophisticated design, and different features that Wagtail and Google Sites just wouldn't give us. So we have some one-off sites being made in Wix, and we use Blogger for blog content. Our team in the IT department always likes to make new blog posts to keep content fresh. And as much as we try to relate it to students, we will have the occasional latest iPad gossip because we're all techies and we love that kind of stuff. But yeah, our web presence is expanding, but still organized, I would like to say.
Yep. Another question. Are we using Wagtail to support our employee directory? The answer to that is yes. We've built that feed between Banner, our ERP, and the website. So yeah, that is built within Wagtail. So we've had to deal with a lot of audiences. This is sort of an open question, take it wherever you want, but does anybody want to share some challenges we've had either working with the ad agency or working with on-campus groups and what we did to overcome those?
I guess I can say something. So with .cms, we actually had much more control of the back end of the environment. Now that we're working with the ad agency, we have a lot less control. And that can definitely be frustrating at times when, there's an issue, you think it's really important and you're ready to grind it out and really Google it and Stack Overflow and find out what's going on with it. Mm-hmm. But there's just some communication issues or the ad agency has other tasks to work on. So that's definitely been a little bit frustrating, but we try to schedule regular meetings with them to have all these issues. And we recently even set up a little project management kind of system where we can request these tasks. And so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's something important to highlight there is, we had weekly meetings with the ad agency throughout the project, but we're continuing that relationship with them. It's certainly not a weekly meetings or anything, but we didn't just engage with them to help us build the website and then everybody's going to go their separate ways. We're continuing to work with them. Brandy, you had to meet with a whole lot of different people across campus a bunch of different times. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges there of getting content and what you did to try to get as much updated as possible when we launched the website?
Mm-hmm. We essentially met with every single group on campus, every single department, every single academic department. So it was quite a challenge. And what you have to keep in mind with a project like this is there's a lot of voices out there. They have a whole different perspective than I do from marketing. And that's a good thing. They're seeing the content a different way, and they're directly working with the students probably a lot more than I am, obviously, if they're professors. So just engaging those voices, but also remembering that they have to teach. They've got their whole duties too, and try to meet them where they're at as much as possible. Avoid finals week. I mean, things like that. Don't expect content, from them during finals week. So it's just bridging all of those gaps. It was a challenge, but I think it did bridge some of the gap between marketing and because they know all of us now. So a lot of patience is required, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because you're also building relationships with the departments.
And I gotta skip all those meetings because in the Teachers College, we've got 6 departments and then 3 miscellaneous other things, and they all know me. So I could say, okay, this is the 2 weeks I'm working on your department website. So here's what you had. This is when we had both systems up. I said, here's what you had. Here's what it's going to be. If you have any changes, then let me know. And I think sometimes people get addicted to meetings, and I am certainly not. So they'll be like, we need a meeting. I'm like, no, this will go a lot faster if you just look at the website and let me know if there's any changes. And so they kind of got used to that. So I actually haven't had that many meetings. But my plan is once life gets back to normal, to, meet with each department and go, okay, this was the baseline, what we launched. What more do you want to see? What promises have been made over the last 10, 15 years that they're like, okay, so where is that feature now? So we can start in on those Christmas wish lists.
Yeah. And we and Brandy have already started having some of those meetings.
Mm-hmm. And that's important too, A, the follow-up, and B, giving people across campus that voice, because like I said, they do see it differently than we do. They haven't worked on this website in depth like we have. So it's good to sort of ferret out what they're thinking, and you want them talking to you, not about you.
Yep. Sam or Sandy, either one, do you guys want to talk a little bit about Hornet sites and how those evolved from our old traditional faculty web pages?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the old faculty web pages were actually just kind of an offset of this web server that we were using. And once we decommissioned that web server, we actually launched Hornet Sites, which is just an extension, Hornet 365, built using Google Site technology. And it's fairly simple and people enjoy it. We've had good feedback on it because we can give the faculty member access to edit it. And it's really drag and drop. It's low code to no code environment. So faculty have had good success using that. It's easy to link resumes and other documents that they could use to give information to their students. It's been fairly successful.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions on the web. Any parting shots here? Okay. Well, thank you to Sam and Sandy and Brandy and Terry for agreeing to do this session. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. One of the things that I wanted to accomplish with the session was to show our colleagues how we took a problem like our web presence and were able to build this cross-departmental team to both address it and then put a team in place to take on similar digital challenges like how we communicated the COVID situation a few months ago. And now we're just beginning a whole new strategy on communicating the plans for returning to campus. So it's great that we have a team like this that administration is able to turn to help facilitate that. So thank you again, and thank you for all the questions that came in, and to all our viewers online. Enjoy the rest of the conference and have a great afternoon.